Hello my loves and welcome to the Perfume Realm. My name is Malaa and today we are going to be doing a Teo Cabanel house review. But before we get started, I just wanted to say, if you are interested in joining the realm, I highly suggest clicking the subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you can stay up to date on everything that is happening here. When you guys subscribe to my channel, you are supporting me and you are helping me grow, and I truly appreciate every single person who subscribes. Now let's get into the video. So a while back, Teo Cabanel was kind enough to send me a little discovery set of all of their fragrances, and that discovery set had me fall in love with the house. From there, I ended up purchasing a couple of full bottles of perfume because I really do feel like this is an outstanding house for fragrances. There's a beautiful, refined quality to all of the perfume that they make. I feel like there's something different about all of the fragrances that they make. It's not just very repetitive or, you know, just something that you see a lot, whether it's in their own house or just in the fragrance market in general. So that's something that I really appreciate about the house. This is not sponsored. I don't even think they know that I'm making this video. Like, actually, I know they don't know I'm making this video. I'm truly doing it because I really loved all of their fragrances. And again, they sent me the discovery set so long ago, they probably forgot that they even sent it out to me in the first place. So this is truly out of my own love and appreciation for the house. So this is going to be kind of a buying guide. So if you're interested in buying something from Teo Cabanel and you're a little bit overwhelmed with the options, or you yourself purchased a discovery set and you really don't know which one you want to go for, that's where I am here to help. But let's jump into the first one. So the first perfume that I'm going to be reviewing is Alejan, and this one is one of my favorite, maybe the second favorite fragrance of mine from this entire house. It is stunning, and from my deep dive into Teo Cabanel fragrances, I found out that the perfume that they create are all expertly blended so that none of the individual notes stand out, and not in a negative way. Everything is blended together. All of the components are blended together so that you can really appreciate the final product. You know, sometimes a perfume is constructed in a way so that every single note kind of has its own time to shine. I think in this one, it's very interesting that everything is so well blended. It's not like the notes are not defined. It's just like everything is woven together like a beautiful oriental fabric. And Alejan is a balsamic beauty. To me, Alejan reminds me of what the eastern winds would smell like in Arabian Nights. That is what this perfume reminds me of. The opening is this draft of bold lavender, a little bit of a woody bergamot and honeyed rose, and it is such a gorgeous opening. Like I said, it's a draft. So that eastern wind that I was talking about from Arabian Nights, it's that first burst of the air, you know, entering maybe through a window or something. That is what I get in the opening of this perfume. And then as the perfume develops and the time goes on, this draft seems to be almost trapped in the balmy heat of the desert. And this balmy heat, this trapped nature, means that the air is not circulating anymore. So the opening notes begin to sag with the weight of its resinous surroundings. And then eventually the base notes come in as the cool and relieving breeze at the end of a really hot Moroccan day. It's that really nice, easing, soothing wind that comes after that really, really hot, humid day. That air really starts to get that lift in it. It really gets a little bit lighter. The iris and the sandalwood are smooth and sedating, and then the vanilla and musk really bring this final soothing lift to the eastern wind. So Alejan is gorgeous, and I really am happy that I decided to go and pick up a bigger bottle of this one because, like I said, it is one of my favorites from the entire house. Alright, so next we're going to talk about Hagoah. Now this perfume is a beautiful, uplifting, cheerful scent. It has a gorgeous green tea note, and I really love green tea and tea notes in general, especially in these type of uplifting fragrances. It just has some quality to it that is so serene and almost spa-like about it, and this is the type of scent that I could imagine a spa being filled with. So there is the green tea, and then there's this citrusy zestiness to it as well to kind of brighten it up a little bit more, and both of them really complement the center, which is a nice sweet light rose. It is not the kind of rose that is jammy. It is not overly sweet. It's just a pretty type of rose. This is a very pretty scent. I wouldn't say it's beautiful, but it is very pretty and happy, and honestly it fills the role that I needed to have filled. Sometimes you want to wear something very nice and light, but you're not in the mood to wear a body mist. I rarely am nowadays in the mood to wear a body mist, but sometimes I do like to have a lighter scent to wear, and Hagoah is one of those really high-end fragrances that you can wear right out of the shower. It's nice and light. It almost smells like a really expensive face cream, which again, like I said, I really enjoy it. So it's not the scent that I typically go for, which are a little bit heavier and more gourmand, but it is a scent that I'm really interested in picking up a bottle of because of that very specific role that it fills. So Hagoah is really lovely, and I do think that she is worth checking out. Some people might not think she is worth it because it is an eau de toilette, meaning that it is not very strong and the lasting power is not incredible. So it is something that is going to stay a little bit closer to you. It is going to be nice and bright and uplifting, but really only to you. And then again, it is going to fade rather quickly because this is not a very strong fragrance at all. So that is something to keep in mind. All right, next up we have another really interesting offering from Teo Cabanel, and this one is Early Roses. So Early Roses, I thought originally from the name was going to be this really fresh, dewy rose. It was really going to be encapsulating this really fresh and dewy bed of roses, but actually to me they don't smell like live roses. It smells like roses that have been cut and bound together and put into a vase. So it's really about appreciating the beauty of a rose in a vase rather than roses in a garden. Now in the opening there is this slight bitter greenness that helps the cut roses from falling flat. So it does give a little bit of that interesting oomph to it, but it is not that kind of gardeny feel that you would get. Again, like I said, they're beautiful roses, but they have already been cut. And then as the fragrance progresses and it begins to soften, it really becomes more about a nice halo of rosiness rather than actually a rose. You know what I mean? There's rosiness, the feeling of a rose, and then there's this lush scent of an actual rose. So the musk kind of comes in as well and plays with the rose, really makes it a little bit more powdery. Like I said, it really gives it a halo effect. So it is a beautiful rose scent, but very different from what I thought it was going to be based off of the name of the fragrance alone. And also I do want to clarify, now these cut roses do not smell old or like potpourri type of roses. They're still fresh out of the garden, like they have newly been cut and put into the vase. They're not like crumply, musty, old roses at all. So don't get the powdery and the lightness mixed up with musty and old. That is not what I get from these roses, at least to my nose. I really actually enjoy the scent a lot. All right, next up we have Lace Garden. Now this was a white floral bomb. This was all about tuberose, and as much as I love white florals, I just was not able to get with this scent. The reason being, there is a very hyper realistic green note in this that gives it this bitter, weird edge to it. Now, technically it's not a weird edge because I can see what they were trying to do with it. It's a really well constructed fragrance, so I think that if someone else was to smell it and they're into, you know, notes that are a little bit more green. Now, it's a really well constructed scent, and I know that there are actually probably the majority of people would really appreciate that green bite to it because, like I said, it is quite realistic and makes the tuberose smell a lot more alive. But my own nose is for some reason just not able to get along with this nuance. I'd rather have had the fake tuberose in this one. It's a little bit too realistic, a little bit too gardeny and bitter. I always have trouble with tuberose. Like, sometimes it can go a little bit too, either too sweet and candy-like or a little bit too green from the garden-like, and neither of those are my favorite. I really enjoy a happy medium. So this is not my favorite, but I do know that anyone who really, really loves tuberose and really enjoys that kind of natural gardeny greenness will probably really appreciate this scent because it's not a bad scent. But again, my nose is just not feeling it. And it is because of that really sharp green bite to it. All right, so the next perfume is Varchan, and this is another one of the most popular fragrances that Teo Cabanel has to offer. In fact, for me, I was really caught between Varchan and Alejan when I was purchasing, but I ended up going with Alejan. Varchan, however, is far more popular and well known. This scent is a beautiful, again, very Eastern, Middle Eastern type of scent. To me, it reminds me of this book called Shabanu, Daughter of the Wind. The character in this one was such a lively, almost untamable type of woman. She started off as a little girl who lived in the Cholistan desert with her family, and you know, they basically raised camels, and at one point she ended up running away from her family on a camel. And it just, for some reason, this perfume reminds me of something Shabanu would have been wearing if she had some perfume. So when I first read the notes, which actually came on a little card, so I saw them before spraying the scent, I kind of freaked out because two of the notes that were listed were cumin and curry. Now, cumin and I just do not get along very well in fragrances. One of the examples would be Dolce Vita from Dior. I can't deal with it. To me, it smells like body odor. Sometimes a scent can do it and use it really, really well, but often I have kind of shied away from cumin-based scents because of some past experiences that were not so great. So there was cumin listed in here, and there was curry. And as much as curry is delicious to me outside of the fragrance world, I didn't know if I really wanted to have a combination of the two in this perfume. So I was like, okay, what is this gonna smell like? But as soon as I sprayed it, I really fell in love with it. There is something very rich and luxurious and oriental. I mean, people get offended with the word oriental. I don't. And it typically references people from my country and, you know, that region. So I personally am not offended by it. So I do like to say oriental. It is what I would think of as a very oriental scent. So this scent has a gorgeous dry myrrh, and I love myrrh as a note. I think it is very underrated, and often it is just thought of frankincense and myrrh together all the time, but on its own in this perfume, it's this beautiful dry, soft bedding of a scent. It's really hard to sum up what myrrh is in this perfume, especially in a word or in a sentence. So there is a beautiful dry myrrh in it, and then there is this really beautiful smoky vanilla that really complements it and gives it this beauty to it. And then there is the curry leaf, and the curry leaf adds a sensuality to this perfume that I would have never imagined in my entire life. That curry leaf just takes that really soft combination of dry myrrh and smoky vanilla, and like I said, makes it more sensual, more arousing. It's just beautiful. So it's definitely a scent that is worth checking out. It has so many dimensions to it, and at the same time, it's not overbearing or too much. At the same time, it's very cohesive. So it has multiple dimensions, but they're not all over the place. There was a very direct and specific way that this perfume was constructed, and I really love it. So next time I will be picking up this one. I still really love Alejan more than this one, but this one is also a beautiful, beautiful offering from the house. All right, next up we have Cabana, my favorite winter fragrance currently. I adore this scent. I have talked about it many, many times, and this scent, I'll talk about it here. Since it is a video dedicated to Teo Cabanel, I think I am justified in kind of going a little bit more in depth about this one once again. So this is a beautiful spiced caramel latte. It's nice and thick and creamy. I think there's a really nice rich density that comes from the butter note in here. There's also, like I said, the caramel, and the caramel kind of is folded in carefully into the milk, the steamed milk. It's folded in really, really carefully so that it is swirled in there really well and mixes in, but there's still those little times where, you know, you take a sip of the latte and you get, you know, a really big portion of caramel. So it kind of ebbs and flows, and I really enjoy that about it. But there's also a little bit of cinnamon and rose that is sprinkled on top of the latte, and that is so the sweetness does not only rely specifically on the caramel. The sweetness source is kind of diversified around these different notes, and yes, the cinnamon gives it a kick, but it also gives it a certain type of sweetness. Like I said, it's like a spiced caramel latte with the rose, and I really think the rose in here makes it a little bit more alluring. There is espresso in here as well. I don't think espresso is actually listed. I think it's just coffee, but to me it smells like espresso blended into steamed milk, and I do think that this is a very drinkable scent. Please don't do it. It's perfume, but it just smells so drinkable. Like I could just pop off the top and take a big chug of this beautiful fragrance. So Cabana from Teo Cabanel. All right, so next up we're going to talk about Julia. So Julia is the fragrance that Teo Cabanel chose to really play it safe with, but they did it in a very genuine, authentic way. So although she is not really special and does not really stand out for what she is, it was done really, really well. She is a fruity floral scent, but for a fruity floral, there's nothing synthetic about this one. Everything smells very natural, which I really enjoy. So when you are interested in a very safe, pretty, lovely, nothing wrong with it kind of scent, but you don't want to go for something that smells of low quality, then this is the scent to choose. This is a scent that is easy to wear in any situation, very versatile. You could wear it to work, around elderly people, around children. I don't know, I'm thinking of different like jobs. Let's say you work in a nursing home, or if you work in a daycare, wherever you work, whoever you're with, or just a regular corporate job, I think it is something that you can put on and nobody will get offended. You're gonna smell really, really good. It's not gonna stand out, but it also will be abundantly clear that you're not wearing average, just a cheap perfume or one that has not had a lot of thought put into it. I do think that there was thought put into Julia. I do think that it was specifically made to be a scent called Julia, if you know what I mean. All right, next up we have Malaa, and Malaa is another one of those cheerfully uncomplicated fragrances. It is not something that is going to stun anyone, but it is a nice fresh citrusy scent that was done with care, with precision, with intent, with a certain level of thoughtfulness put into it. I don't think that every good perfume out there has to break the mold. It's just not realistic. This isn't a scent that some people would find worthy of its price tag. I can definitely see that, but I also definitely see the merit in this perfume, and I don't think that the merit can be washed out strictly because of how overdone the category it is. It's a beautiful citrus scent, and had these type of fresh, simple, uncomplicated scents never existed, and this was the first one, people would have been raving about it. But of course, that's not the case. There are scents like this around. So all of the fragrances from Teo Cabanel, I still have a few more to get through, but all of these fragrances have a common theme of being very well sanded down, smooth. There's not anything abrasive about any of these scents. And although some of them are truly, truly like mouth-watering, delicious, and although some of them are genuinely incredible, such as Café Cabanel and Alejan, they still are not ones that are going to leave someone stunned. It is just something that you take in and appreciate. So like a scent like Malaa or Julia, these are scents that, although are not probably going to be at the top of someone's standout list, they are something that is very cohesive with the house's brand and what they're going for. It's all about being very put together, very chic, nothing over the top, nothing tacky or anything like that. So in a way, I think that if you were to go, it really sounds like they have sponsored me because I'm just raving about them, but I truly do think it's an amazing house. And I think like if you were to go and just get like all of their fragrances, you really would have something classy to wear for every type of situation, whether it's just every day or something super light like Malaa to replace a body mist, or you know, something a little bit fancier such as Alejan or Varchan, and also something really beautiful and rich and luxurious and gourmand like Café Cabanel. All right, next up we have Oha, and this one is rose, cardamom, and tea. That is what this scent is all about, and there are some of the notes that I'm most obsessed with in general. I love cardamom, I love tea, and I love rose. So together, all three of them have been blended gorgeously. There's a kick to this perfume. It's definitely a spicy rose, and this one has all of the elegance that I was talking about before. It is an elegant rose scent, but it has a little bit more character to it. Unlike early roses where it was more of a morning scent, this one I can see definitely better fitted for the evening because of that spiced nature to it. In this scent, rose is truly at the front and center. It is all about the rose. The tea and the cardamom are also quite pronounced, and they're just there to kind of push the rose a little bit forward. You know, somebody who's about to go on stage and you're behind with them. Maybe it's your friend going on stage and you're like, go, 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 break a leg. That's what cardamom and tea are doing here in this scent. And I do think it's really nice as maybe, you know, a night out in town type of scent. Maybe you're going out for dinner, something like that, and you really want something classic and beautiful. That is what the scent is. There's a very nice richness and thickness to it as well. The rose is almost jammy, but not overly sweet. It's jammy in the way of how developed it is, not because of it being overly sweet or anything like that. Okay, next up we're going to talk about Huspe. So this is one of the more masculine offerings from the house. I mean, to me it's completely masculine, although I think it might have been marketed as unisex. There's almost this kind of salty animalic aspect to it. It's not a animalic scent. It has a fresh, you know, tinge to it, but there is that kind of salty animalic background, kind of like an echo. And then as it dries down, it turns into a leather scent with a little bit of nutmeg. It's honestly a very classy men's fragrance. To me, this perfume is the masculine equivalent of what Julia is that I just reviewed a little bit earlier. Julia is that very safe, classic, nice, put together woman fragrance, and Haspe does the exact same thing, but for men. There's a little bit of papyrus in here, there's geranium, there's nutmeg, and then in the dry down there is a leather in here, which as it develops a little bit more, it becomes quite nice and enjoyable. Nothing is standing out to me, but it is very put together, a nice, expensive smelling men's fragrance. And last but very, very much the least, we have Kassar. So this scent is truly horrible to me. It is another masculine scent, but there is something so bitter and ugly about it. I just cannot get with it, and I actually think it's a pretty popular offering from the house. This one has saffron in it, it has leather in it, and cedar and cinnamon, and it has all of the qualities of these notes that I hate. There's something bitter, sharp, angry, and it just does not work with me. The leather that comes in the opening is just, it's just so hideous. Like I really don't enjoy it. Again, it is blended pretty well, but I would say that this has the most sharpness that the entire house has to offer. There is that kind of, it isn't a gruffness, but there is this sharpness to it. My flash just turned off. My phone is probably about to die, so I definitely need to charge it. Luckily, that was the last one that I was going to talk about. So anyways, I really hope that this video was enjoyable for you guys. I hope it was helpful and hopefully a nice little window into what Teo Cabanel has to offer. Again, I really do enjoy this house, and I know I kind of sped up a little bit in the end, but I was running out of battery. Like I said, the flash just turned off, so I do want to wrap it up before it fully dies on me. Thank you guys so much for spending your valuable time with me here today as we sit and chat about perfume. I really hope you guys are doing well. Have a good one.